You're on. We're back in business, resuming with public hearing quasi judicial number 1. We have another request to speak form from Robert Lord. Is Mr. Lord in the room?
I saw him earlier.
Was it Rob Lord?
That's a different item.
It says,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll ask again. So, have we resolved the issues? Who wants to be the spokesman for the?
Either way.
No, I think Michael would agree for you what the answer was. How we resolved the right-of-way.
Yes, we have resolved the right-of-way. What they're going to do is this developer is going to dedicate an additional 10 feet on top of the 10 feet they're dedicating the entire length across the right-of-way frontage of their private right-of-way going into their development. And that will meet the 50-foot right-of-way width at their driveway location.
Okay. Okay, so you're going to extend that additional 10 feet in order to accommodate the exit?
Yeah, so it'll drop down, and there'll be a little 10-foot piece right there where it needs to be 50.
Okay,
And that will allow them to shift the road entrance to the most southerly location and meet our code.
okay. And also, by this, if we agree to it, you're absolving yourself of the decision-making, and instead we are creating the variance?
There's not a variance at this point, because what it is they will be dedicating the additional 10 foot of what would have been private right-of-way as public right-of-way.
Okay. And we don't have to have a public hearing?
We don't need a public hearing, yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair, what about the 3 stories and the single-family building? Is that going to be, that'll be somehow,
Part of the PUD conditions, special conditions?
And there was one other special in this,
I'm sorry, we have a couple additional items that will be added post-approval. So what was mentioned was revised master final site plan showing the entryway shifted, the removal of the entry gates, building height being restricted to 2 stories throughout, single-family residence being eliminated, driveway width to be amended as discussed, and the donation of the $50,000 to Leighton Park improvements,
Okay,
and 50,000 to Hidden Oaks Middle School.
yep.
which was, that's existing.
Okay,
in
so we're just switching that.
Correct.
Motion to accept.
Any further discussion? Peter, is this you or is this
No, that was
Sebastian? Okay, all right. Any further questions or comments? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for your cooperation. Now, we're taking up,
Who seconded it?
no.
Who seconded it?
I don't know. Who seconded that?
did we get rid of consent?
Yes.
I think so, yes, we're finished.
All right.
We still got that B and C.
did you all approve the total of the consent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Pay attention.
I'm trying.
We have B and C to do.
Let's see.
Squirrel.
We do have voting sheets, Don. You want to take those up?
Oh, no.
Madam Chair, can we clarify on that last action, was the motion seconded?
Yes.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think we need a second, and
We need a second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now we need to make some appointments to some CRAs.
You could stay there.
And he's got the next one.
Do this for all you guys.
I'll do it for you.
Donna Gordon in administration. The one you all voted on was for Hobe Sound. I needed 1 person, 2 applicants, and Mr. Frederick Bowen Smith received 2 votes. Mrs. Emily Thorson received 3 votes. Do you want me to go all the way down?
Sure.
Okay. For Golden Gate, I'm asking that you reappoint Brad Tanzer and Sadia Safarides. For Hope Sound, we did that. For Jensen Beach, reappoint Ann Cagdis and Ron Rose. For Old Palm City, reappoint Rex Sintel, Douglas Legler, Charles Smith, and Oscar Torres. For Port Salerno, appoint George Gattuso, and,
And reappoint
and,
Edward Olson.
yes, and reappoint Edward Olson Jr. And for Rio, reappoint Jamie Newhart and Michael Riedling, and reappoint Hannah Martell, and authorize you to sign the resolution of appointment.
Commissioner
We'll
Heatherington.
make a motion for all those recommendations that you just read out, 1 through 7, and Mrs. Hope Sound, Mrs.
Thorson.
Yes, Ms. Thorson.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now take up public hearing quasi judicial number 2, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an amendment to the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning district classification for 456 South Ocean LLC. This is quasi judicial. Any ex parte disclosures? Commissioner Vargas?
Have any, they've been filed.
And Commissioner Capps?
If I have any, they have been filed.
If I have any, they've been filed. Commissioner Campy
I don't have any, and that's been filed.
and Commissioner Heatherington.
If I have any, they've been filed.
And Mr. Elam, have you submitted your resume and the agenda item to the clerk?
A copy of my work history and the agenda item has been turned in as Exhibit 1.
And anyone who's going to be providing sworn testimony, please stand up, raise your right hands, and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Elam, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Brian Elam, Principal Planner with the Growth Management Department. This is a request by Gunster on behalf of 456 South Ocean LLC for a proposed amendment to the county zoning atlas to change the existing zoning district on 38 parcels of land with an approximate area of 1,913.23 acres from A1 Small Farms District and A2 Agricultural District to AR5A Agricultural Ranchette District. Included with this application is a request for a Certificate of Public Facilities Exemption. The subject site is located at the northeast intersection of Southwest 96th Street and Southwest Citrus Boulevard, west of the St. Lucie River, extending north to Interstate 95 and the Florida Turnpike in Palm City. The property zoning districts are A1 Small Farms District, consistent with the Agricultural Ranchette future land use, and A2 Agricultural District, which is consistent with an agricultural future land use. Both A1 and A2 are Category C zoning districts, as defined in Article 3, Division 7 of the Martin County Land Development Regulations. A1 zoning district require lot areas shall not be less than 2 acres, and A2 zoning district requires lot areas not be less than 5 acres. The property's future land use is agricultural ranchette. The A2 zoning district is inconsistent with the underlying future land use map of the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan. Therefore, this request to rezone is considered mandatory. It's just an aerial view, excuse me, of the property, just so you can see it. Basically, like this, all the way around here. There are 2 standard Category A zoning districts available to implement the agricultural ranchette future land use policies of the comp plan. AR5A, Agricultural Ranchette District, and AR10A, Agricultural Ranchette District. In addition to the standard zoning district, the PUD, or Planned Unit Development District, is available as an option. As I stated in the introduction, the applicant is requesting the AR5A Agricultural Ranchette District, a Category A zoning district, consistent with the agricultural ranchette future land use, compatible with the character of the existing land uses in the adjacent surrounding areas, and consistent with the documented zoning changes in the area. The rezoning to AR5A zoning district, which allows 1 unit per 5 acres, results in a reduction in density over the land currently zoned A1, which allows 1 unit per 2 acres. Here are the development standards and structure setbacks for the proposed AR5A and AR10A zoning districts, which only differ in the minimum lot area and density. AR5A is 1 unit per 5 acres, and AR10A is 1 unit per 10 acres. This application was heard before the local planning agency on August 7th. The LPAA voted 4-0 to recommending staff's recommendation of approval for rezoning. Development review staff have found the 456 South Ocean LLC application to comply with all applicable regulations, and the comprehensive growth management plan is detailed in the staff report. And staff recommends approval of the rezoning by 456 South Ocean LLC from A1 Small Farms District and A2 Agricultural District to AR5A Agricultural Ranchette District. We move that the board receive and file the agenda item and all its attachments, including the staff report, as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt a resolution approving the request to rezone from A1 Small Farms District and A2 Agricultural District to AR5A Agricultural Ranchette District. That concludes the presentation. Be happy to answer.
Questions for Mr. Elam? Mr. Raines?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Bob Raines with the Gunster Law Firm here on behalf of the applicant. Before I begin my presentation, I would like for the record to reflect that we did turn in the proof of notices to the surrounding property owners at the LPA meeting for this item also today before you. I'd like to begin by just stating for the record that we agree with the comments, the conclusions, and the recommendation in the staff report. In a moment, I'm going to have Taylor Panconian come up and make a short presentation. But before Taylor comes up, I'd like to just make a couple of comments about why this is the appropriate zoning designation, and then she'll give you a little bit more detail as to it. In 1982, when the comprehensive plan came into existence, the directive from the board at that time was that they apply land use designations to the property that reflected the existing uses and the existing zonings on those properties at that particular time. So for instance, the property before you today, as Mr. Elam pointed out, has a zoning designation currently from 1967 of A1 and A2, which allowed a minimum of 2-acre lots and 5-acre lots respectively. So what we're asking for today is the AR5A, which I think is reflective of what that property's always been intended to be developed at. Actually, it was intended at one point to be developed smaller, but obviously in 1982, when they put the land use designation on it, that changed a little bit. But so with that, what I'd like to do is have Taylor come up and just have a short presentation as to give you some other information as to why the request before you today is the appropriate land zoning designation for this land use. So Taylor, if you could, can you just state your name for the record?
Taylor Panconian.
And have you been sworn in?
I have, yes.
And can you give us just a brief summary of your educational background and work history, please?
Sure. I have been with Hart Howerton, my current firm, for over 15 years, where I've helped lead strategic planning, entitlements, and permitting processes. I have also been trained, educated, and certified as a planner with the American Institute of Certified Planners.
And can you identify the document I'm handing you?
This is my CV.
And is it current?
It is.
Thank you. And I would like for the record to reflect, Madam Chair, that I'm handing that in to the clerk at this time for the record. And with that, I'll turn it over to Taylor.
Sure. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us this afternoon. As Mr. Elam has already gone over, the subject property that we're discussing this afternoon is approximately 1,900 acres located in Martin County and is adjacent to both the major roads of 95 and the Turnpike. As we zoom in a bit more, in addition to the two roads, 95 and the Turnpike to the north and to the northeast, the property is also abutted by the St. Lucie River, which is publicly managed. We then studied the future land use map for Martin County, understanding that the future land use provides the overall context for zoning. And the property's current designation is the agricultural ranchette with a minimum lot size of 5 acres. And that's consistent with much of the properties surrounding to the north and to the west, shown in this tan color. There are some exceptions, however, notably in 2 properties. One is designated rural density with a minimum lot size of 2 acres, and the other is the mobile home density with a minimum lot size of 1/8 of an acre. The properties across the St. Lucie to the east and to the southeast are consistently higher in density, typically under 1 acre lot minimums. What's shown on here, the estate density, that's referencing all of the properties in the pink tone, which are approximately a minimum lot size of about 1/2 an acre. This then brings me back to the request that was outlined by Mr. Rains, that we are coming before you for a mandatory rezoning from the obsolete Category C zones of A1 and A2 to the Category A zone of AR5A, which is the agricultural ranchette. The old, outdated Category C zones that the property is currently zoned for are A1, the small farms district, with a minimum lot area of 2 acres, and then the A2, the agricultural district, which is a minimum lot area of 5 acres. We also examined the zoning of the neighboring properties, and the majority of the properties to the north and to the west are either zoned A2 with a minimum lot size of the 5 acres, or they have already been rezoned to AR5A, again with that same minimum lot size of 5 acres. The properties to the east, which are within the urban service district as it borders the turnpike and the canal, they represent a wider range of zoning districts, typically at a higher density. So after we examined the surrounding densities and the zoning, we also wanted to understand what has actually been built. So we took a look at the existing development pattern surrounding the property, and much of the land that's adjacent to the site has been developed. The PUD project to our northwest, Country Place Palm City, has already been developed at 1 DU per 2 acres, and the mobile home community has been built at a much higher density. Again, the development pattern also shows that the communities across the turnpike and the river are consistently built at a higher density than the 5 acre lot minimum. So in studying the surrounding land use, the zoning, and the development patterns, we believe that zoning to AR5A is consistent with the adjacent properties, and that AR5A designation serves as an appropriate transect from the higher density properties within the urban service district to the more rural properties to the west. So just in conclusion, that the rezoning to AR5A is consistent with the surrounding densities and is the most appropriate Category A zoning designation for the property. That concludes.
Yep, that's all right. No, so I think in conclusion, that does conclude our presentation. I think I would just again emphasize with respect to what the previous zoning was, intent for this property, and also given what Taylor went over with the development patterns in the area and the existing zoning and land uses in those areas, we believe that our request for an AR5A should be approved, and we would respectfully request you do so. Thank you. We'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Rains? Commissioner Vargas?
This is outside the primary urban services district, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, the service levels, urban service is not available there.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
So how was that handled then?
Well, if
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
happy. Yeah, so it is outside the urban service district, but the agricultural ranchette, AR5A, is a rural density. So anything right now would be done with water and sewer, if I'm answering your question. But it is the zoning designation that is appropriate for outside of the urban service boundary.
Did you just say that it would be served with water and sewer?
No, I'm sorry, well and septic. Excuse me.
Yeah, well and septic, I was saying, wait a
Well
moment.
and septic, I apologize.
Yeah.
Yes, at this time, it would be well and septic.
Commissioner Capps?
I think it might be good to remind everyone about the primary urban services boundary and then the secondary urban services boundary and what the differences are. Is this in the secondary?
No, this is just outside, this is not in a second.
This is just out in the agricultural
outside the
area.
Service boundary.
Okay.
Both the,
Is some of Palm City Farms is in the secondary though, right?
I believe that's correct. Some,
Yeah, some of it is and some of it's not. But the general idea, of course, is that in the urban area, you need urban services. And in the agricultural area, you don't have as many urban services. And the whole concept of the secondary urban services boundary is like a buffer between the two. And sometimes the zoning is sort of in between the zoning that you would have in the urban area and the zoning that you would have out in the ag area. But of course, that doesn't necessarily apply in this particular case because we're not in the secondary. Is that right? And I thought it was very interesting, the point that you made about the history of the comp plan in 1982, and I wrote this down. The idea was to apply a future land use that is consistent with existing uses.
the existing uses and zonings
Right.
at that time, as close
Right.
could be done at that point in time.
Right. And
know,
this
and-
parcel has some A2 and some A1.
Yes.
As they were called back then.
Correct. So in 1967 was the first time that zoning even came into effect in Martin County. And these zoning codes are from 1967. And as we pointed out, a portion of them actually allowed lots of smaller as 2 acres.
Right.
So-
And that would have been the A1 portion,
Correct, yes, sir.
which is actually the larger parcel, a larger chunk of land on this parcel.
Yes, sir.
And that, back then, that could have been 2-acre lots.
Correct. And then prior to 1982. Then, the other one allowed the minimum acre of 5 acres, which was what we're asking for today.
Right. And so that's the centerpiece of your argument about why AR5 is the most appropriate. Because back in the old days, they could have been 2-acre lots.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So that is a big part. And then also, again, the way that everything's been developed out there, as Taylor pointed out. And so we're coming in with a development pattern, requesting a zoning that's consistent with what's out there.
Okay.
Would anyone from the public like to address us? I have an observation. Can you put up page number 554? So, notice on this is the existing zoning map. And you'll notice that this parcel shows a combination of A1 and A2. And is it likely that A2, which was agricultural, was intended to transition from ag ranchette to agriculture? And that's why this parcel has A2, the parcel south and west is A2 rather than A1, because it was intended to be transitional. And one of these zoning districts that also implements ag ranchette is AR10, which would require a minimum of a 10-acre lot in order to build.
So let me understand this, Commissioner. You're saying that in 1967, that the A2 portion was intended to be,
I'm saying that very, very, very well may be why that was given that transitional zoning, because I see that that the properties to the west of there, which are getting more and more agricultural, and then they're going to turn into agriculture. I think that maybe the intent was to transition from the more dense A1 and the urban service boundaries to ag, and that's why it was given a different zoning district.
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that the future land use, though, applied to all of it was agricultural ranchettes.
I know, but there's a reason why it's not all the same.
But I would, and I hear your question, Commissioner, and I would respectfully submit to you that I think you may be correct with respect to that, but the A2 zoning allows the minimum acres of 5 acres.
But it also allows A10,
No,
AR10.
that the agricultural ranchette land use allows it, but what I'm suggesting, or what you were suggesting, is that there's a transition, and I'm not debating that with you because it does go from A1 to A2, but the A1 was 2 units, 2 acre lots, and the A2 is 5 acre lots. So that's, if you can, that's fine, but really what's happening is we're taking now the entire site and making it AR5A, or minimum of 5 acre lots. So I understand your point about the transition, but the transition was from 2 to 5 back then, and now it's all 5.
So,
Commissioner Campy?
I was at that meeting, and that was not the intention. And with that in mind, I think it's a mandatory zoning, and you're basically asking for 5 acres, and it was 5 acres. I make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Commissioner Vargas?
Your concern is, Chairwoman?
There are, the zoning districts are different. One is more restrictive than the other, and I think it was intentional. I think that it was, that the A2 was put on there not as a mistake, but rather intentional, to transition from more urban uses to more agricultural uses. And therefore, I think that it should have a split zoning district. It should be the eastern portion, have the A1 parcels have AR5, and the A2 parcels AR10.
But I would just submit to you again, that's not even consistent with what the development pattern is out there and what the rest of the zoning is out there. There is no AR10.
It's all agricultural.
It,
Right now, it's nothing but agricultural. This
no, all of Palm City Farms is developed in 5 units, or excuse me, 1 unit per 5 acres.
Well, if you
It's all, and, and the rest of it, yes, it's A2.
If we look at the aerial, this entire parcel is agricultural.
The existing subject parcel? Yes. Well, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Right. It is today. That's correct.
It's not developed as 1 unit per 2 acres or 1 unit per 5 acres. It's agriculture, period. That entire thing is nothing but agriculture.
No, it's agricultural, as everything out there was. Palm City Farms was agricultural, and that's why you have the AR5A designation. And the transition zone is, back then, when it was intended, was 2 units, and then it went to, 2 acres, and then it went to 5 acre lots. And so all we're asking for today is to be consistent with what was always the intended use of this property. And I don't see how the argument can be, when the zoning had allowed 2 acre lots and 5 acre lots, how you can now take this to a 10 acre lot.
Commissioner Heatherington?
yep, I would agree that this is a mandatory rezoning and 5 units per acre, and I'll second the motion.
Any further questions? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
Opposed.
That motion passes 3-2 with Commissioners Vargas and Hurd dissenting. Let's see. Next one is public hearing quasi-judicial number 3, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an amendment to the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning classification for Kenai properties. This is quasi-judicial. Any ex parte disclosures? Commissioner Vargas?
I don't have any. It's been filed.
Commissioner Capps?
If I have any, they have been filed.
I don't have any, and they've been filed. Commissioner Campy?
I don't have any, and that's been filed.
And Commissioner
I
Heatherington?
don't have any, and that's been filed.
And Mr. Sinnott, have you submitted your resume and the agenda to the clerk?
Yes, I'm turning in a copy of my resume and the agenda item to be filed as Exhibit 1, and the notice of mailers was turned in at the LPA hearing on August 7th.
Okay, anybody who's going to be providing sworn testimony, please stand up, raise your hand, and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm John Sennett, Principal Planner with Growth Management. I am presenting the,
Wait a minute, Mr. Senate.
There's
This
an
is,
intervener.
there's an intervener. So do we have
be in
additional
the lobby.
procedures?
He needs to be sworn in.
I don't see the intervener in the room right now, but there is an intervener.
Is there an intervener in the House?
Yeah, he's been here all day.
Yeah.
I saw him after the break.
Want to take up the next one? We need to have the intervener. We need to. Let's take a break and take up the next item instead.
Do you have a phone number for him? You want to call him on his? Yeah, just tell him if he doesn't plan on coming back, we don't need to change the whole meeting for him.
Well, give him a call and we'll, hang on, we'll wait a minute.
I saw him here, but
Who's the intervener?
if you don't make your hearing.
From
Little
Little Club. He's a smaller guy. I watched the LPA meeting. I saw him. I think he's got his hand in a sling or something. He's got something going on. But what I remember, most of what he wanted to talk about is not this hearing, it's the next one. But
The next one's Meridian Marine.
no, I mean, the next time they come forward.
Yeah,
It's more about like site plan. I wouldn't want to pay a lawyer to sit here since the morning. What does a lawyer get? $300 an hour?
Depends upon the lawyer.
Jared Gaylord
Doesn't make as much as rates.
or Mark Gaylord.
he's right down the road. He watches. He's on his way, I guarantee.
It's rare to even have an intervener.
We haven't had one for years.
I know. I bet he forfeited.
Anybody on the way?
He's not attending. Harvey, the property manager from the Little Club, is not planning.
So there's not an intervener?
Well, he hasn't, he said that he hasn't withdrawn his intervention, but he's not planning on coming and speaking before the commission.
Okay, so we just follow along with the same procedure. Okay, then proceed, Mr. Sinat.
thank you, Madam Chair. I'm presenting the Kenai Properties rezoning application. This is a request by Jared Gaylord on behalf of Kenai Properties for a proposed amendment to the county zoning atlas to change the zoning district classification for an approximately .82 acre site from HR2, multiple family residential district, to RS10, high density residential district. The subject site is located at 18071 Southeast Country Club Drive in Tequesta. Included with this application is a request for a certificate of public facilities exemption. The site is shown here in red. It's approximately .82 acres. There is an existing cell tower in the southern portion of the site. That cell tower was constructed in 2019. This undeveloped land to the north of the property is the Boy Scouts of America's Tanakita Scout Camp. The areas to the east and south of the subject site are the Little Club Condominium Association. To the west of the subject property is the North Passage subdivision. And farther to the southwest of the property is the Riverbend Condominium and Golf Club. The future land use designation of the subject site and adjacent areas to the east and south is high density. To the north, the Boy Scout property has the institutional public conservation future land use designation. And to the west of the site, we see the low density future land use designation. The subject site, as well as the adjacent Little Club property, is within the HR2 zoning district. The HR2 district is a Category C district. The Boy Scout property to the north is within the PS, Public Servicing District. And the North Passage property to the east, or to the west, is in the RM5 zoning district. There are two standard Category A zoning districts which implement the high-density future land use designation. Those are the RS10 district and the RM10 district. New PUD zoning is also an option for applicants. The applicant is requesting the RS10 district. These are the development standards for the available RS10 and RM10 districts. For For the RS10 district, the minimum lot area is 4,500 square feet, minimum lot width of 40 feet, maximum density of 10 units per acre, maximum height of 40 feet, minimum open space of 50%. The alternative RM10 district has similar criteria. However, the RM10 district does allow some flexibility in lot area and minimum lot width for zero lot line townhouse and multifamily developments. The RM10 district also has a density bonus criteria for sites meeting affordable housing. Moving down to applicable setbacks at the bottom, the RS10 district, a one-story structure in the RS10 district would require a minimum 25-foot front setback, a 10-foot rear setback, and a 5-foot side setback. The setback criteria for the RM10 district is similar. However, a one-story structure in RM10 would require a 10-foot side setback. And again, the applicant is requesting RS10. These are the conditions supporting RS10. RS10 is consistent with the site's existing future land use designation of high density. The site's location within the primary urban service district is compatible with the permitted uses of the RS10 district. The RS10 zoning district is compatible with the existing single-family and multifamily residential uses in the area of the site. This matter was heard before the LPA this past Thursday, August 7th. The LPA voted 4-0, recommending staff's approval. Development review staff have found the Kenai Properties rezoning application to comply with all applicable regulations in the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan as detailed in the staff report. Our recommended action is to move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1. Move that the board adopt a resolution amending the Martin County Zoning Atlas to change the zoning district designation on the subject site from HR2 Multiple Family Residential District to RS10 High Density Residential District. That concludes my presentation.
Questions for Mr. Sinnott? Commissioner Capps?
Yes, so we're going from HR2 multifamily residential district to RS10 high density residential district.
Correct.
That sounds like you're going to build condos or something, like you're wanting to go to high density residential district. But I don't think that's really the intent here, and it actually cannot be the intent because with RS10, you're not allowed to do multifamily or duplexes. Is that right?
Correct. I'll let the applicant discuss that in their presentation.
It sounds kind of strange, sounds like you should be, if you're not going to build duplexes or multifamily, it seems like the zoning should be called something else. But it's not, for some reason. It'll be interesting to learn why.
Would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
Jared Gaylord for the record on behalf of Kenai Properties LLC. I'm joined by the Albrecht family who's in the audience today. Just a little bit of history about this project. My clients met with county staff back in 2024 with a request. Essentially what they were trying to accomplish is Jonathan and Brooke Albrecht, Jonathan's parents are the owners of Kenai Properties LLC, and the hope was maybe to try to put a single-family residence on the northern portion of this property and to split the lot because you can't homestead in an LLC. Obviously, they're still subject to that southern portion of the property. There is a lease with Crown Castle for that cell phone tower. At the time they met with county staff, the idea was, well, we can't split a lot that's in the HR2 district, so maybe let's look for other zoning districts that are applicable for the for this future land use designation of high density residential. So the thought was maybe an RS10 district with a lot width of 40 feet would be better because this site has a lot width of 160 feet, right? So obviously, minimum requirement lot width of 100 feet would not work. for a lot split. My clients came to me in probably about the spring of 2025, and we met with county staff again. At that time, it was again confirmed, let's move forward with an RS10 designation. We ran a title search just to make sure that the property had never been split since 1977 in accordance with the county's land development regulations. It confirmed that, and then once that was done, we were off to the races, and we submitted a rezoning application to growth management. So this is essentially just a simple kind of a request to do a lot split. That's the narrative behind this. It is worth noting that this zoning district, the RS10, is in some ways not as permissive as the HR2. It was noted by Commissioner Capps that there's not multifamily, there's not condos, apartment buildings, which is somewhat similar to some of the eastern property, like Little Club. They would have a HR2 designation, which permits those condos. So this is simply a request just to have a zoning designation with a lesser threshold for the lot width. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Questions for Mr. Gaylord?
Move approval.
Second, quite a journey to build a single-family home.
That's what the S is about, is single family. Would anyone from the public like to address us? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks for spending the day with us.
Yeah.
Little civic,
Thank you, you too. We'll now take up DPQJ1, which is a request approval for the 80th Amendment to the Martin Downs Planned Unit Development PUD zoning agreement, including a revised master final site plan and revised phasing plan for the Meridian Marina project. This is quasi-judicial. Commissioner Vargas, any ex parte disclosures?
I have none, it's been filed.
Commissioner Capps?
If I have any, they've been filed.
I have some and they've been filed. Commissioner Campy?
I have lots of them, and they've been filed.
Commissioner Heatherington?
I have them and they've been filed.
This is quasi-judicial. Mr. Sinnott, have you submitted your resume and the agenda to the clerk?
Yes, I'm turning my resume and a copy of the agenda item to be filed as Exhibit 1. I'm also submitting resumes for the agent and their team that they requested to be included in the record.
Okay, thank you. And would anyone who's going to be providing sworn testimony please stand up, raise your right hands, and be sworn in?
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm John Sennett, Principal Planner with Growth Management. This is a request by Lucido and Associates on behalf of AC Meridian Marina for approval of the 80th Amendment to the Martin Downs PUD zoning agreement, including a revised master final site plan and revised phasing plan for the approximately 10.85 acre site known as Meridian Marina, located at 1400 Southwest Chapman Way, east of the intersection of Southwest Map Road and Southwest Chapman Way in Palm City. Included is a request for a Certificate of Public Facilities reservation. Subject site is shown here in red. You can see the existing boat storage facility in the center. And on the east side of the property, there's an existing waterfront building. As part of this proposed amendment, they are including the proposed construction of a Phase 4 two-story waterfront building that will essentially replace this existing waterfront building. The undeveloped land to the north across Southwest Chapman Way is the Pendarvis Cove Park property owned by South Florida Water Management District. The adjacent condos to the northeast are also within the Martin Downs PUD. These are the Admiralty condominiums. The subdivision to the south of the property is the Pelican Cove subdivision. To the west of the property is the Justin Wilson Memorial Park. And you can also see the Hamilton Place subdivision to the west as well. The subject site and the adjacent Admiralty condominiums to the northeast are within the Martin Downs PUD. The area to the north of the subject site is within the R1A zoning district. The subdivision to the south is also within the R1A zoning district. And to the west, you can also see the remainder of the Martin Downs PUD, as well as the RM5 zoning district. The future land use designation of the property and the adjacent property to the northeast is marine waterfront commercial. To the north in green, you can see the institutional recreational future land use designation. To the south, you'll see the low-density future land use designation. And again, to the west, you'll see the recreational and the low-density future land use designations. Martin Downs PUD was established in 1980. Meridian Marina, formerly known as Martin Downs Marina Village, was developed in the early 1990s. Today, there's an existing boat storage building, as well as existing infrastructure and that existing waterfront building. A new boat storage building and outdoor boat racks were approved as part of the 79th PUD amendment in 2022. These are currently under construction. The 79th Amendment Master Phasing Plan included a Phase 4 waterfront building with restaurant, marine operations, retail office area, and up to 2 accessory dwelling units. The 79th Amendment specifies that an amendment to the Martin Downs PUD is required for final site plan approval of Phase 4 and any additional special conditions that may be associated with the operation of the restaurant. The proposed 80th Amendment includes a revised master final site plan and revised phasing plan. As part of this application, in Phase 4, there will be a new 2-story waterfront building constructed with approximately 6,261 square foot restaurant and a 2,977 square foot marine operations retail office area. The proposed amendment removes the previously approved accessory dwelling units from Phase 4. This amendment also limits the nighttime hours of operation for the restaurant. This amendment also reflects a proposed dumpster enclosure and relocated parking stalls in Phase 2. This is the proposed revised master final site plan and phasing plan. As you can see on the right side of the graphic and also in this inset, we see the proposed 2-story restaurant / operations and retail office building, essentially in the same location as the existing waterfront building. There's a rendering of the proposed Phase 4 waterfront building. This is the west elevation. This is the north elevation of the proposed waterfront building. Pursuant to Article 10, Table 10.5 F9, Martin County Land Development Regulations, review of this application is not required by the local planning agency. Development review staff have found the AC Meridian Marina application to comply with all applicable regulations and the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan as detailed in the staff report. Staff recommendation is to move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve the 80th Amendment to the Martin Downs PUD zoning agreement, including the revised master final site plan and revised phasing plan for the Meridian Marina project. That concludes my presentation.
Questions for Mr. Stinnott? Yeah, Commissioner Capps.
Can you state again what the rules will be for like live music and at the restaurant, considering the neighbors that are pretty close by?
Yes, I pulled up the PUD amendment language. On weekdays, the restaurant shall cease operations at 9 p.m. On weekends, the restaurant shall cease playing music by 9 p.m. and shall cease operations at 10 p.m.
So music stops at 9 p.m. all week, all 7 days? Or no?
On weekdays, all operations cease by 9. On
Right.
weekends, music will stop by 9. Other operations.
So the music
operate
stops by 9, 7 days a week?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's kind of important. Like, especially when you're close to neighbors, you know, some people go to bed early and get up early, so I think that's good.
Any other questions? Mr. Raines.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Once again, for the record, Bob Raines, land use attorney with the Gunster Law Firm, here on behalf of the applicant, and I'm also on a personal note pleased to be representing AC Meridian today, as I'm also a Palm City resident, and I think it's a great project, so hopefully you will think so too. I'm pleased to say that we do agree with, again, the staff's comments and conclusions and recommendations in the staff report. We have a short presentation. I'm going to ask Brian Nolan to come up with Lucido and Associates, and then after that, we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. Brian? So if you could state your name for the record, sir,
Brian Nolan.
and you've been sworn in,
I have.
and can you give us a brief history of your education and work history?
Sure. Educated University of Florida, landscape architecture. Go Gators.
Okay.
And I've been with Lucido and Associates for 20 years, and I'm a co-owner.
And can you identify the document I'm handing you, sir?
This would be my resume.
And is it a current copy of your resume?
It is.
And I'd like for the record to reflect that I'm handing that in to the clerk, and I will let Mr. Nolan.
Thank you very much. Chair Hurd, Commissioners, I'm happy to be here today in front of you presenting this project with wonderful clients. If I could, before I jump in, I'll just rewind just a little bit, if I may. As staff indicated, the Martin Downs PUD was approved in 1980. I believe the marina and the restaurant use came around in the early 90s. And I think the restaurant was originally 12,000 square feet and was reduced down to, I think, 6,000 in the last PUD amendment. The Camerons bought the marina in early of 2021. Along with that purchase, they got some open FDEP violations and a building that was falling apart and uninsurable. Within 6 months of the purchase, they rehabbed the building to the bank's satisfaction, was able to get insurance on it. Boats moved in. Swiftly, they went from about 60% occupancy to 100% occupancy. Shortly after that, in mid-22, they got the all clear from DEP on the open violations, so that was all remedied. So after several years, several millions of dollars, and a lot of hard work, they were able to fully operate what they had purchased. In the interim, the Camerons ended up moving here in February of '24. Their children are enrolled in school here, so welcome them to the family. They're just a few short miles from the project site.
What town?
Palm City,
Oh, that's right.
just a few short miles away.
Folks, smart folks.
So the reason why we're here today is the proposed 80th Amendment to the Martin Downs PUD. This is really a tweaking of the plans as the Camerons have further refined their program, brought on a well-known architect who has done similar developments down in Jupiter. For the restaurant, I'm speaking to the restaurant, the boat sales building, otherwise known as the waterfront building. So this amendment, the set of amendments, is basically a refinement of the program, putting a bow on the present, if you will. As previously discussed, we would like to add some special conditions to the PUD, limiting the restaurant use, all operations to cease at 9 on weekdays, and music to cease at 9 on weekends, and operations to cease at 10. Again, through the refinement with the architect of that waterfront building, the restaurant boat sales office area building, we are proposing a minor adjustment to that square footage, to the restaurant use square footage, to 6,261 square feet. Also, a minor adjustment to the area that will be dedicated to boat sales and office from 1,200 square feet to approximately 1,768 square feet. As the Camerons have since moved here, the 2 accessory dwelling units were no longer necessary, so we would like to remove those from the program. And through further refinement, we'd also like to reduce the marine sales ops and retail office area from 1,600 square feet to about 1,200 square feet. Again, this is current 2025 aerial off your county's GIS website. I think I can do the pointer on this one, can I? See the rehabilitated boat storage building here with the storage racks, the waterfront building down here in the lower right corner. As I understand it, the restaurant used to be up in this area next to the condo and has been since relocated and about halved in size.
They never built it.
This is just a shot of the existing approved site plan. And this is the proposed site plan illustrating the relocated accessible stalls. This entry and arrival area for the waterfront building, they'll have incorporate valet parking, so they'll kind of rework that roundabout area to be more efficient. And there are existing accessible stalls here, so those will be relocated up here. And there's, I think, six or 10 proposed total. I know it meets code. This is where the refuse enclosure or dumpster enclosure will be located. And then this just highlighting the reconstruction of the waterfront building. And again, some artist renderings that the architect prepared showing the proposed building. This shot actually shows the implemented revised architectural treatment of the existing boat storage building. Shot from the water, and then again from the north. With that, I am open to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Nolan? Commissioner Capps?
When I visited the site, it seems like there was a statement made about how, is this the only marina like this in Palm City? What was that distinction that was?
I should have mentioned that. This is the only working waterfront in Palm City, and this would be the only waterfront restaurant, should you approve it today in Palm City.
Okay, the only working waterfront parcel, and it will be the only waterfront restaurant
Correct.
in Palm City.
Fully open to the public.
Okay.
That is correct.
Commissioner Heatherington?
So I remember when you were here a couple years ago and the room was filled, and I will say, after visiting the site, I love that you've done what you said you were going to do. You've really made drastic improvements to the property, and that you found this place so lovely that you moved here with your kids and put them in school, and I think it's going to be an asset to the community. So I appreciate, and you are also putting, your neighbors are very supportive. You met with the neighbors on, what would that be, the south side, and you're putting a wall to meet their
Desire.
requests. And not only are you putting a wall, they are so excited about your restaurant, they wanted a gate in the wall, is what I was told.
More easily access. Yes, we're incorporating a wall. It goes from about the landward limit of the 50-foot shoreline protection zone west to cover the first two single-family lots there. So we'll stop approximately where if the cursor will stop moving, approximately where the cursor is.
Good. Thank you. I think it's going to.
The rest will be fenced.
The rest will be landscaped.
Landscape.
No fence?
With a heavy landscape buffer. There's a big existing berm, a lot of existing vegetation that will be supplemented with more plantings.
Mr. Walden, is this you?
Yes. I just wanted additional note, it was 45 years ago last month that the original PUD for Martin Downs was signed by Maggie Hercella. And this marina was part of that original vision.
I'm 46.
You're 46?
That's so hard for me to believe that it took so long for this property to develop.
I owe it to the Camerons. They came in.
It was waiting
and
for the Camerons.
Turned it around. It was waiting for the right person to show some love to it.
We have a couple of requests to speak forms. One is from our old friend Rob Lord,
Welcome back, Rob.
followed by Juliana Riley.
Here he is.
Hello, Mr. Lord. Nice to see you.
It is so good to see you. I was thinking about, I haven't been here since I retired. I think I spoke on behalf of
Yes.
this one at a time. And now that I'm an unproductive member of the community, just an old retired guy, it's great to see your smiling faces and that I'm greeted this way. I just wanted to say, basically, what has been said is what I came here to say. They've been wonderful neighbors. They've worked hard with their neighbors to try and explain what they wanted to do and to work and to listen, to accept feedback. And that's so important and not done very often this day and age, and I respect and admire that. We are excited. I should note, we live down the street just past the Admiralty condominium and just up from Pendarvis Park. We're excited about the restaurant. I'm very pleased with the limit on hours. I would also note that the owners have also become pretty good friends with a bunch of us that live in that area. So if we've got complaints, we'll voice them. But the reality is stopping that at 9 o'clock and not any noise. The noise from the city of Stewart comes across the river for a longer period of time than that. So we'll be dealing with that after their music cuts off. But we're excited about it. I thank you for the time, and it is great to see all of you.
Good to see you.
It sounds like the Camerons are going to have to be putting in a lot more gates. Juliana Riley?
So I, like Mr. Lord was here a couple of years ago.
Hold the mic down close.
I was here with Mr. Lord a couple of years ago in agreement with this plan when they first brought up the restaurant. I live next door to Rob, so I'm on the same street as the marina, and we are very excited in support of the restaurant. The Camerons have been very open with talking, like he said, with all of the neighbors, taking any feedback, being very open with their visions and their ideas, taking suggestions as well. I think that they have proven whatever they choose to do with the restaurant is going to be top-notch. You can see that with what they have done with the marina that they purchased. When we purchased our lot, the marina was very ugly, and everybody had to pass it to get to our house, and now it's just been a total change. So we are also in agreement, and I'll say every time somebody comes over, the first thing they ask the Camerons is, where are we on the restaurant? When is this restaurant happening? So just wanted to say that as a neighbor and a future visitor to the restaurant, we are very excited.
Thank you. Thanks. Would anyone else like to address us? Commissioner Campy.
Seems to be Palm City Day, which I very much appreciate. We all got a chance to meet the Camerons a couple of years ago when they came forward to purchase the property. They were new to us. I would say that Austin and Jenny were new. They weren't new to the business because they have a very, very successful portfolio of marinas all over the country, more than a dozen marinas, and also other businesses. And I know they've started to think and purchase more globally, so they're out of the country now. I've had the chance to meet with them several times, but more importantly, I have been invited by their neighbors, especially the neighbors, a couple on the south side, right on the opposite side of the restaurant wall, if you will, the future restaurant. They invited me to come, and we went upstairs. They have a beautiful outside patio, and the building is as close as could be, and they brought me there to sing the Camerons' praises. Which was, I'm always leery, like how could this go? Because I really have a philosophy of who's there first. Really their feelings need to be taken into strong consideration. And it was such a nice visit that I had with them and others along the area. And then, of course, I'm very friendly with Rob Lord and some of his neighbors. We've met about other projects there. They have more, as he said, more of a complaint about the noise music coming from the other side of the river from Stewart than they will here. I think it's remarkable that the Camerons were willing to write into their PUD agreement the times of music and the hours of operation, which most people, if you've been to restaurants or owned restaurants, shutting the music off at 9 o'clock is quite a consideration because most places want to play music till 10 or 11 and could easily maintain a crowd until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And this is just those two sentences alone, that they will shut the music off 7 days a week at 9 and close the restaurant at 10. Really speaks to who they are. What they have accomplished on the marina side, we didn't even really talk about that today, is create a world-class, as they have done many times before, a world-class marina, which is the only one we have in Palm City. Lots of desire and interest in boating, but not really a lot of opportunities to be right there. They've taken everything that their most affected neighbors' concerns were, they took them into consideration. And not just in this particular case, but in everything, when they came here the last time, it was right in the pandemic, and they were inheriting a situation and what they have created there. So everything they, as Commissioner Hetherington had said it, I wrote it down beforehand. I wrote everything they said they would do, they have done and more. And to top it all off, they loved the community that they were investing in and building this new location in, which is pretty far, I think, from the rest of their marina empire, which is basically in Texas and in the South. They relocated their school-age children and moved here. I mean, I don't know how much more of a commitment to the community you can make than that. Then the restaurant itself, I've spent some time, and I appreciate them even taking what I had thought into consideration. They're looking for a world-class local restaurateur to partner with. And we're not going to get into the names, but you would know every one of the names that's under consideration. Because if you're a restaurateur, you would love to partner with the Camerons, and you would love that location. And they're going to build a gorgeous facility. You saw just a couple of the slides. I think, especially with everything that we have going on Map Road with other restaurants, I'll tell you that Papi Chulo's is also coming to Map Road now. This will be another kind of sort of jewel in the crown that is what we've been trying to accomplish in Palm City for the folks that well deserve it. Now, we will allow people to come over the bridge into Palm City to dine. It won't be exclusively for Palm City residents, at least not right in the beginning. And we're working on a whole drawbridge thing, but that's a story for another day. That being said, I'm thrilled and honored to make the motion to accept staff's recommendation because I too am wondering, when are you going to open? So thank you so much, and I appreciate you investing in our community.
I would gladly second it.
Any further comments? And I would just like to add my thanks, and it looks like a wonderful project, well overdue. Thank you very much for investing in our community. It's going to be a terrific project. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good luck.
And if Bayview is going to build it.
Thank you.
Just such a lovely couple.
Yeah.
They own 15 runs.
15?
Yeah, huge runs. Some have thousands of boats. And they got married in a hotel in the Bahamas or something, and they went down and bought it.
Now we will be taking up Department 1, Office of Management and Budget items, which require board approval. Shelby?
Shelby Baker, Budget CIP Coordinator. Good afternoon. I have 5 items for you today. Number 1, permission to apply for the Gary Sinise Foundation Grant for Equipment. Fire Rescue is requesting permission to apply for this grant to replace aging gym equipment in multiple stations. This is a grant award of $26,653, and there is no grant match requirement.
Nice. Garrison East.
Number 2 is a permission to apply for the Hazard Mitigation Program, HMGP, for federal emergency management. As a result of Hurricane Milton, Fire Rescue is proposing to replace all overhead mechanical fire station bay doors with bifold lateral operating doors. In the grant award amount of $1,474,200. There is a 25% grant match that is budgeted in the fire station bay door replacement program, which is located in your public building CIP section. Number 3, permission to apply for the Hazard Mitigation Federal Emergency Management FEMA grant as a result of Hurricane Milton. Utilities and Solid Waste is proposing to replace all the generators at the master lift stations with fixed bypass pumps. This grant award would be $399,102 with another 25% grant match, which is budgeted in the Utilities Capital Improvement Plan. Number 4, permission to apply for the Office for Victims of Crime FY25 Technology to Support Services for Victims of Crime. Martin County Sheriff's Office is requesting to apply for the Office of Victims of Crime FY25 Technology to support victims of crime in the amount of $271,103. There's no grant match required. And then number 5 is a budget resolution to amend the Florida Emergency Medical Service EMS Trust Fund grant. The Office of Management and Budget is requesting a budget resolution to allocate the remaining grant interest revenues in the amount of $256.14 from the fiscal year 25 EMS Trust Fund grant to the fiscal year 25 EMS grant. And that is all I have for you today. Any questions?
Questions for Ms. Baker?
You did an excellent job.
Thank you. A little fast, but we're good.
Good, fast is good.
Commissioner Capps?
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll take up Department 2, which is contracts that meet the threshold for board approval of $1 million or greater. Ms. Brotherton,
Brotherton, we might have a new restaurant in our town.
you are going to have a new restaurant.
Bring them on. Papi Chulos, all of it. Good afternoon. Christy Brotherton, Chief Procurement Officer. We have 5 contracts for your approval today. The first contract is a continuing services agreement for utilities, plant repair, maintenance, and construction. This contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $5 million with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending contract award to Lawrence Lee Construction Services, TLC Diversified, and Razorback. And move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. The second contract is another continuing services agreement for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, which is HVAC, installation, repair, and maintenance. This contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $5 million with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the sole responsive and responsible bidder, which is Farmer and Irwin LLC. And move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. Next, we have another continuing services agreement for fiber optic network cabling. This contract has a $10 million not to exceed value with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the sole responsive and responsible bidder, which is Precision Contracting Services, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. Next, we have a continuing services agreement for custodial services for public buildings, non-CGIS. And this contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $5 million with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, which is Compass of Miami Services, Inc., and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And last but not least, we have another continuing services agreement. This is for Coastal Environmental Consulting. There is a typo in the contract number that should say RFP, not RFQ. And this contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $6,500,000 and a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending a contract award to Ecological Associates, Coastal Eco Group, and CSA Ocean Sciences, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And that concludes this item.
Questions for Ms. Brotherton? Mr. Capps?
Yeah, I think it's good to go over some of the basics every now and then for people who might not understand these types of contracts. These are very large amounts of money, but they're called continuing services contracts. All 5 of them are a continuing service contract, which means an upper limit, right? On an as-needed basis.
Yes, most of
And that's just like where the contract cuts off.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean we're going to spend 5 million or 10 million.
Correct.
It just means that's the upper limit. That's when the contract shuts down.
Correct. So we either will meet the contract not to exceed value, or we will exhaust all of our contract term and renewal options. If for some reason we go through some type of major inflationary period where costs go up and we reach that not to exceed after a 2-year period, we're required to rebid. We cannot go above that not to exceed value. So it's kind of a budget, but it's our cap. So sometimes we make it through 5 years, but sometimes we don't. It just depends on what, the economy's doing and the pricing out there. And even though we do have fixed pricing for most of them, most vendors are allowed per the contract to submit price increases on an annual basis with justification. So they're reviewed and whatnot. Some of our utilities contracts have CPI increases that are built in, but for the most part, it's, they have to justify it.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Hetherington?
Question, you just sparked a question.
Sure.
In addition to the unit pricing, do we have performance metrics? So if there's 3 of them that are on the continuing services contract, if 2 of them never respond, and is there a way to make sure that when you submit something, that those 3 contractors are providing bids or showing up or unit pricing to make sure there's just not one person fulfilling all of them?
Yeah, so what we've done, probably in the past year or so, we've beefed up our contracts and our solicitations where if we're doing multiple contract awards for our continuing services, there's actually provisions in the scope that say if you don't submit a proposal when requested, I think it's 3 times, you can be deemed non-responsive and we can terminate your contract. So there's, they get busy a lot of times and we're not always at the top of their list, especially if they're giving us, a really low rate. But we're trying to do our best to make sure that they are responding to us, that we are their priority. We also have provisions if there's performance issues where we can, get defective work taken care of. And if they just don't perform, we can terminate for cause and convenience at any time, so.
Good, thank you.
Any further questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up is Department 3, which is a request to approve an artwork for the Manatee Pocket Mooring Field facility in the Port Salerno Community Redevelopment Area. Ms. Kouris.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Susan Corres, Office of Community Development. The Martin County Art and Public Places Program was initiated in 1997 via ordinance 1103. It's Chapter 13 in the Martin County Code of Ordinances to enhance the quality of the visual environment in the Martin County community. When the Manatee Pocket Mooring Field Upland facility was to be built, the Port Salerno community encouraged the county to include public art, and they requested that a mosaic be installed on the building. Donna, would it be possible for you to put up a picture of the building? It's in the agenda. just so they have a little visual. Yeah, thank you. So a call to artists was prepared and was sent out to the Florida arts community. The Public Art Advisory Committee appointed a subcommittee to review applications submitted in response to this call to artists for a mosaic installation on the Manatee Pocket Mooring Field upland facility. A publicly noticed meeting was convened to review the 15 submissions. Using prescribed scoring criteria, subcommittee members, which are people from the community and staff as well. Subcommittee members reviewed, scored, and discussed all applications. 3 finalists were brought to the Public Art Advisory Committee on July 28th. They reviewed the applications using the same criteria and made a recommendation of 2 artworks for final selection and approval by the Board of County Commissioners. The funds are available in the Art and Public Places capital budget. The cost of this mosaic is $15,000. You are presented today with 2 possibilities, and we are asking you to use, again, the same criteria that the other committees read and looked at and thought about and considered, and choose the one you think might be the best. So the motion would be, move that the board review the recommended 2 submissions and select 1 artwork to be installed on the Manatee Pocket Mooring Field upland facility. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Ms. Corus, the 2 panels who reviewed this recommended Mr. Dirks, correct?
So they were asked, the subcommittee was asked to recommend 3, the top 3. Mr. Dirks was number 1 in that assessment, and the Public Art Advisory Committee then recommended 2, and I believe he was the first choice as well.
Okay.
With Ms. Materio being second.
Yep.
Let's see. You're going to show them to the public?
Sure, we can.
They're not apples and apples.
They're not. So this is Mr. Dirks, thank you. This is Mr. Dirks' submission, and it is not in color. I believe he works in stained glass, and this is what the committees reviewed, same as you are reviewing. And he also included color samples that could be utilized in his creation. And those are some of his works. And then we had Miss Materio, who offered this mosaic. And those were some of, I think we had some of hers, yes. And these are some of her past works.
Is she using stained glass as well?
She actually works in stained glass and mosaic. This particular is a mosaic. It's a little bit hard to see where you can see the little tiles, if you will, in this picture, but this is a proposed mosaic. Yeah.
And Mr. Dirks is a stained glass proposal or a mosaic?
I believe Mr. Dirks is stained glass. No, he's saying. He's here in the audience. Would you like to ask him?
Yes.
Jim, you want to come up?
Here's the artist himself.
Jim Dirks. I own Stewart Stained Glass for the last 43 years in Martin County. What I propose is a mosaic using stained glass, the actual glass, And the way it's done is done on a concrete board. The glass is adhered to it, and then instead of using lead lines like we would in a stained glass panel, we use a grout in between. It's a mosaic.
Of glass.
And the 3 pictures that I submitted, those are all mosaics.
Yeah, the one that showed the backsplash in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That looked like it was on a flat wall.
Yeah, that was on a wall.
So they're not backlit or anything like that. They're mosaics made out of glass.
Yes.
How's the durability? We have always kids that are, or grown-ups, I guess, that, what's the vandal, I get it that anything can be destroyed, but.
Anything can be destroyed. Glass is glass, and it'll last hundreds of years.
If you leave it alone.
The one thing, over time, anytime you have a grout or anything like that, even in your shower, they at some point need to be sort of touched up or something like that. What's up on the screen right here, that was done on a wall behind a oven or a stovetop. And then they tiled that and around it. There's some nice sauce being cooked on the.
Yeah, I wanted to know about that, Jim.
Yeah. I didn't stay for dinner that night.
Ms. Corrs, can you scroll back to the bottom?
sorry. This part?
No, to the one that it would be.
The submission.
What's the size?
What I've given you in my drawing is, it's sort of a blueprint, or I just saw you guys are looking at site plans and stuff like that. I don't color mine in. Typically, when we have someone come to our shop, we have a line drawing similar to what we have here, and we have them choose the glass, and we go step by step and pick out the glass that you're going to use in the panel. So in this case, I don't necessarily need to have anyone come by. What we do is true to life. So, and what I think what I've done here is kind of shown what Martin County, Manatee Pocket, all about. I've caught all the fish in this before. I own boats. I've kept my boat on the Manatee Pocket for years, and I live up on the North Fork there, so I think it sort of gives a good clear view of what Martin County is really all about. So.
You want to pass the gavel, or you don't care? What size is it, Ms. Corrs?
I believe it's 6 by 7.
6 feet by 7 feet?
It's a large panel.
How long will it take you to do it?
A couple months.
Are we making motions now?
Yeah.
I would make a motion that this, Jim Dirks's submission be the one that I would recommend we do, with our thanks to the other artist. I think the other artist is not a local, correct?
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach, but not a local. Regional. Yeah. Okay. And you're from where?
Well, I was born.
I know where you're from. I just want everybody else to hear.
I've owned Stewart Stained Glass for 43 years here in the city of Stewart, and I've been a Martin County resident in the past. Right now, I actually live near Club Med, or the old Club Med.
I like to support a longtime business owner in Stewart and support one of our own. So it'd be my pleasure to make a motion that we accept this one.
I agree, and I'll second it.
Commissioner Capps.
So, starting at the top, we have mahi. I'm identifying the fish. So we, our county administrator,
Taco, is that in a taco right there, or a sandwich?
right? Our county administrator would know this better than I would, because he's quite the fisherman, but, so we have mahi at the top, and then a sailfish. And then about midway down on the right, it's tarpon. And then we have a mahi chasing blue runners. Are those blue runners?
No, those are actually jacks.
Jacks, okay. And then at the bottom, we have, are those snook or tarpon? Snook, okay. That's
Help you out
cool.
by pointing to them, but I'm clueless.
Purpose.
And the birds over on the left, is that like an egret and then a spoonbill? Pink spoonbill? And a blue heron. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll second that.
Oh, we already got a second.
Oh, you already got a second.
You'd be the third.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I would have loved to put a piece of your gorgeous work in the Palm City CRA, but I got defunded today, so I won't be able to.
We'll talk about it later.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our last item is Department 4, which is adopting a resolution approving land use restriction agreement template for the Live Local Act.
Yes, Commissioners, Elise Elder, Acting County Attorney. We are asking the board, we've provided you with a template of a land use restriction agreement. As you know, the legislature passed the Live Local Act in 2023, and that gives developers the opportunity to basically do high-density residential rental in commercial and in industrial. And in that act, there's a lot of different moving parts and requirements that the developer has to comply with. And we are asking the board, in the process of approving the Live Local Act projects, it's an administration approval, so it goes through the Growth Management Department, similar to a minor site plan. We are asking the board to approve and require that a land use restriction agreement be entered into between developers in the county that are approved under Live Local. And that's so we can make sure that we are enforcing the terms of the statute. It requires a 30-year period of affordability. There's a lot of different requirements, and we've consulted with the Growth Management Department, and we think it's important to memorialize these in an agreement and hold the developer accountable because they're getting a lot of concessions under the Live Local Act. So this document that I've provided to the board is really a template. So you're approving the use of a template, but every project is different. So in the resolution, we're asking the board to approve this template, to require it in the approval of a Live Local Act, to give the county attorney's office the discretion to revise this agreement as needed, because every single project is different, and it's impossible to create a document that would encompass every project. So it's similar to our PUD template. We use the same template, but everyone is different to conform to a project. And then we're asking the board to allow the county administrator to execute this agreement on behalf of the county, because under the Live Local Act, we cannot require board approval. And if you look through the agreement, it really just provides what the requirements are. There's a monitoring period that the developer will have to go through. It allows for audits. It has consequences if they don't comply with Live Local, which I think is important not only to protect the county, but to protect citizens who would be able to use the affordability aspect. So we're asking the board to approve the use of this, and I'm keeping it short, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on this agreement.
Questions? Commissioner Vargas?
It's not on disagreement, but I have heard people stating that once the development is complete and they have their certain allotment of those that this was intended for, to live there, they start to increase the rents so that they have to vacate.
So this is going to help that. This is going to require the developer to conform to the Live Local Act, which requires them to use 40% of the housing for those individuals that which are less than or equal to 120% of the median annual adjusted gross income in Martin County. So we have a whole procedure with our Human Services Department, so they will do annual audits to ensure that that requirement is met. They approve the applicants who are going to rent. So the developer will have to demonstrate that the 40% is actually going to those people who qualify under the income requirements under state law, and that threshold is provided by the state every year. So they just use those numbers, and they will do an annual audit. So they'll be required to keep their 40% over 30 years, and this will set the date it starts, the date it ends, and all the requirements. So we think this agreement is really necessary in order to really monitor those projects. And it runs with, it's a agreement, it runs with the land, so subsequent buyers would also be subject to this and have notice of it.
That was my next question. They sell the property.
Yes.
Void.
It runs with the land, so it will be in effect for 30 years.
Questions for Ms. Elder?
Obviously complies with state statute, right?
It complies with state statute. The statute doesn't preclude us from entering into an agreement, and we think it's necessary to hold them accountable. There are a lot of other jurisdictions who are also doing the same. So yes, it does comply with state statute.
Is Nicholas Geisler still with us? Mr. Geisler. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. For the record, Nicholas Giesler, an attorney with Bartlett, Loeb, Hines, Thompson, and Angelos. And I'm here on behalf of several of our clients who are property owners within the county. With all due deference to Ms. Elder and the rest of the county attorney's office, who I'm sure has and will advise you on the legality of this agreement, I did think it would be helpful for somebody, an attorney on the other side of this blue rope, to let you guys know what we're thinking about this agreement. And frankly and plainly, if one of our clients met the requirements of the Live Local statute and was presented with this agreement as a condition to approval, we would advise our client not to sign the agreement. Specifically, we have an issue with Section 4.5 of the agreement, and this was not presented, at least in this part of the presentation, by Ms. Elder, but it's the requirements that restrict the size of the affordable houses based on the size of the other houses, the other 60% of the development within these mixed-use development areas. This requirement, it's not only not required by the Live Local statute, I would argue that it's not permitted. The Live Local statute is fairly clear that if you meet the requirements of the statute, the jurisdiction has to administratively approve the development and no further restrictions can be placed. And this is pretty clearly a further restriction. With that being said, I will admit that the legislature has put you and other jurisdictions in a difficult position of attempting to comply with the statute with really no guidance on how to implement it. And frankly, I think that they probably expect lawsuits to be filed and for courts to determine and interpret the statute. And I think the decision the commission has to make is, do you want to be one of those test cases and really put yourself out in front of your skis, I think, by this ordinance, which goes far beyond what Live Local was intended for. Live Local was intended to encourage affordable housing, not discourage it by placing restrictions that are not required and not allowed by the statute itself. And that's what I think that this resolution does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Sir, before you go,
Geisler.
what do you recommend?
I would take out Section 4.5. I don't, and it's probably a gray area, the monitoring of ensuring that affordable housing. I do think, as Commissioner Vargas stated, that is a concern, that people want to just get in the door and then eliminating the affordable housing and just hope out of sight, out of mind. So the monitoring, if it's done in a non-restrictive and non-burdensome way, I think that's a legitimate regulation. But trying to sneak in this provision that really limits the size and the features of affordable housing, it's just simply not allowed by the statute.
First off, I don't believe we were necessarily trying to sneak it in because it's part of the public record. It's been part of the agenda. So that being said, is that your only concern with this document?
Well,
Or your major?
That's the major concern, and I think there's a lot to be determined. It depends on how it's implemented. So, and really the concern would be, and I won't use the term sneak, and I think you're right to call me out on that, but the concern would be that this is just a way to try to restrict development. And so if even the monitoring becomes a way for the county to make things so expensive and so burdensome that it's really just a workaround to discourage affordable housing developments, then I think it is a problem. But specifically at the outset, it's the restriction on the size.
Okay, let me run my thought process through with Ms. Elder. First off, we have had many conversations well before Live Local was even a thing. We had a project down on US 1 in Hobe Sound that Commissioner Hurd sounded the alarm on, which had, early on where we were having to try to brainstorm about a density bump for affordable and how do you show that it's still affordable, to Commissioner Vargas's point, 5, 10 years down the road, if it's meant to stay in place. We didn't have a mechanism for that. So I don't see monitoring necessarily. I see your point, that if you throw a whole bunch of things, you make it much more complicated. I see monitoring as a way to ensure that if it's 25 apartments of the full grand total are meant for people to be able to get, that they can't just sort of fade away. We never really calculated, and I know that Live Local was another question on how do you monitor people's leases. We don't have a big organization that's going to do that. So the monitoring part is trickier. This, Ms. Elder, 4.5, this language, where'd you get it?
So that's it's a requirement now for our affordable housing, and I think you're talking about trade winds, and that was our first example. That is a little bit different than Live Local. I will give you that. We do monitor that. They give us yearly updates. It's the same monitoring that we're doing for Live Local. It's a per-hour charge for our staff person. I think it might be $25 or $35 an hour to review the documents. That price will be attached to this agreement. They'll know in advance what the cost will be. So the monitoring is not burdensome. We're doing it with Mike Dooley's project. He has had no complaints. The provision of the different sizes, that's just generally when you do affordable housing. There should be a variety of sizes, and they should be spread out so people aren't isolated or outcast, so people know they're affordable. So that's why we put that in there, and it's also required in the trade winds development as well. So that's kind of how we mimicked it. We could take out 4.5 if the board chooses they don't want to keep it in there, but that's why it's in there. And there's no restriction. The county is allowed to have policies and procedures for Live Local. Right now, we just follow our administrative approval, but the board can certainly add this requirement of an agreement to our policies and procedures for Live Local projects. And we're going to post it on our website like we're required to under Florida law. So I think entering into this agreement is perfectly legal, and other jurisdictions are doing it. It's the only way to make sure they comply.
Right, I don't think you or the team would have brought anything forward that you didn't think was obviously legal. Your point, and see, this is where we get into like a little back and forth, which is good, because I think it benefits all of us to hear the different perspectives. You originally said that. I'm thinking, all right, that sounds like a thing. But then when I hear from Ms. Elder, I agree. I don't want... Listen, the Live Local's got a lot to it, and I get that even when we first heard about it, we said that might be terrific in Tampa and Orlando and West Palm and elsewhere. Here in Stewart and Martin County, it's a little different. They went with the one-size-fits-all, and we're on sort of the one extreme side of that. That being said, I don't want, if someone was going to use the Live Local option, to put, all one-bedroom. They're all on the ground floor in the back section. I do like the concept that there would have to be some variety in sizes and locations. So, I mean, if this is something that our legal department feels is appropriate, I heard what you said, much more so I could have just let you walk away. I heard what you said, and I personally feel comfortable with this language. And if it comes to what you're saying, someone would be like, wait a second, I can do this document, I won't do that. Then it would bring up a conversation where we don't want all of the specific affected units that are going to be affordable all in one building in the back. Everything else is fancy. And then there's the annex where all of the affordable apartments are.
May I respond?
Sure.
So I think you're kind of performing what you're trying to avoid from the statute, because the statute is a one-size-fit-all for everybody. I understand that. But this agreement is doing the exact same thing. There's no discretion here. The size and number of bedrooms under the agreement is exactly a one-size-fit-all. There's no way for different developments, and it might not make sense. One development might say, well, it doesn't make sense for us to have only one-bedroom housing across the entirety of the development. And that's something without the agreement that can be worked out through the development process administratively. But I think this agreement takes that discretion away from the county and from the developer.
My final point is, I thought you made a compelling conversation and an argument, if you will, but that's my attorney, and I'm only meeting you for the first time. So I wanted you to enlighten us all with your perspective.
Understood.
But at the end of the day, I'm sticking with our attorney, and I'd make a motion to accept.
Okay, I can respond to that if
Commissioner Heatherington, I don't think you need to.
I just I guess my secondary question again was, we are complying with the state statute.
We will be complying with the state statute, and the resolution gives us the discretion to cater this toward each project. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So if they're only having one bedroom, then obviously we would cater it to that. So yes,
In your
it will.
professional opinion,
Yes.
this still keeps us complying with the state statute.
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas?
Understanding real estate, and I appreciate what he's saying over there. Sorry, I forgot his name. But anyway, did he mention something about this being a gray area or something to that effect? What
No.
we're stepping out on? Okay, fine. If it's not, if it's spelled out, and if it is all one-bedroom development, then it would be one-bedroom units, and whatever the market rent is for the formula is calculated. If it's 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, if it's studio to 3 bedrooms, then that would be the mix that's typical of the area. And so we're not imposing on one developer that they mandate that they must have this size unit and nothing less or nothing more. So as they come before us, again, the state, has kind of shackled us on this, and we're having to live with it. And, I would say, let's be bold, and let's go ahead and include this, absolutely. We don't need to fear this, we're doing the right thing, and we're complying with the statute. Thank you, Ms. Elder.
Any further questions or comments? There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now, I was mistaken before. We are.
There's one more, isn't there?
Yeah, I just didn't. Mine didn't get printed. So we're going to end with Department 7, which is adoption of a resolution approving the acquisition of 429 vacant lots totaling 383.33 acres of environmentally sensitive vacant land in Palm Beach Heights, Palmar.
You also have departmental number 6.
Mine's 7.
No, I'm saying another one.
Oh.
We'll end with Carla. That's okay. That's a more positive ending anyway. So.
Mine ended on 4. So did I miss 5 and 6?
The 5 was a preset.
5 was the preset.
Okay. Mr. Poprowski.
Hello. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here before you asking to adopt a resolution to approve the purchase of 429 vacant lots. It's approximately 383 acres in Palmar. This purchase would be from Be a Man, Buy a Land. As you all recall, we entered into a settlement agreement in November of last year to purchase a portion of Be a Man's properties, with the remaining 606 approximately acres being purchased by the South Florida Water Management District. I'm coming before you to ask for the approval, but we would still be subject to review of these 429 deeds for any inconsistencies, for any post-settlement encumbrances. And the settlement agreement allows us to, we have to finish the settlement agreement by February of next year. So both us and the Water Management District. This resolution, as it is drafted, would allow the board to accept those deeds. As you know, if any lands are coming to the county, they have to be approved and accepted by the board. This would allow us, after the attorney's office review, that this would be accepted at a later date, but it would be approved today. So it would obviate the need for us to come back before you at a later date. And I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Poprowski. Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, so this will be after reviewing.
Yeah, we are currently in review of all these deeds, and there's 429 separate lots.
Wow, nothing like that.
Correct, yes. And we have agreed pursuant to the settlement agreement as to an amount per acre. All that has been previously agreed to.
Yeah, there was some exchange or so, 2 for 1.
Yes, that's correct.
I remember all of it.
Mhm.
Buying Palmar properties is a workout. Any further questions, comments?
I thought you had a public comment.
I don't have a public comment, but would you like to address us, Mr. Gaza?
I thought he had a slip. Oh, he has it in his hand.
Zach Gaza, Managing Member, Be a Man, Buy Land. Sorry. Mr. Poprowski already approved this deed. I sent it quite a while ago. The county actually already has this deed in escrow. It is signed and is no longer in my possession. The lots have been approved. We've been working on this for quite some time. The taxpayers of Martin County decided to create a half-cent sales tax to preserve this property in November. The county is sitting on millions of dollars. Somebody keeps kicking the can down the road, and you refuse to buy any land. It's sitting in some account somewhere. This is just another delay. In June of 2022, Martin County put up its first gate blocking my access to private property. You drag me through the mud on this. You drag the taxpayers through the mud on this. I had to go to court, hire a national law firm, and this is the result, a settlement. And you're still kicking the can. You still won't buy the land. These nonsense claims that, oh, we have to review. It's been reviewed. No one will set a date to close. The settlement agreement says time is of the essence. That must not mean anything to this county attorney's department or this board. If anybody has any questions for me or clarifications required, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we did set a closing date that we will close in February, by February.
The settlement agreement requires by February 7th, so.
The settlement agreement.
And Commissioners, we have found some discrepancies, the latest this morning in one of the deeds. So we are not ready to accept the deeds as they've been presented. We have reviewed them, we've tentatively agreed on the language, but we found, and I'm sure we'll find others. So we're going through this to make sure that we get what we're paying for.
If I could also say that for the public's benefit too, that just because the taxpayers approved a sales tax process, there was a whole ordinance that implemented that. A committee had to be performed. Even though this was a potential property, the committee had to review it. It just really, this is the first opportunity that it's been able to be presented to this board after have gone to our Lands Acquisition Committee for ranking. So I believe that staff has put it in priority to ensure that this property was one of our priorities and continues to be so. So I just want to, I know there may be some frustration on how the process in which we've had relationships with Palmar owners out there, but in this particular case, using sales tax money is important that we follow the processes and procedures that the board adopted, and we're doing that so that we can be successful in acquiring the properties as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Two questions. One, if the sales tax referendum didn't pass, we were still purchasing this property, so where was the money going to come from if it didn't pass?
That's a question for the Office of Management and Budget.
Or for Mr. Donaldson?
Yeah, so obviously, we had committed to that. We had various funding sources identified in terms of what we may have to pledge in order to come up with the total dollars amount. We were prepared to bring those items to the board for you to have various options. Obviously, you had your bond counsel here earlier today. Those are the folks that would have worked with us on that. And again, we have various revenue sources from environmental, some of our impact fees that are eligible for this, to other revenue sources that we would have pledged. But again, we were committed to the settlement agreement. That's why when we executed it, it was not dependent upon the sales tax. However, that the sales tax was available and included in the referendum for acquisition of Palmar, presenting it to the Citizens Advisory Board was important, and we needed their approval to bring it on to you all for consideration, and that is really a part of this action. Did not get here until we had an opportunity to present to that board, and in fact, I believe it's the first set of properties that this board has approved for acquisition.
That is correct.
However, if they, for whatever reason, we've given them sort of some independent decision-making authority, if for whatever reason they don't choose these properties, we're still buying them, correct?
Yeah, this is under the settlement agreement, yes, for this particular set of properties. But we also have other properties out there that we would like to continue to acquire for the benefit of environmental restoration in Palmar. So,
But part of the settlement, separate from the Environmental Selection Committee, we have to settle up this agreement. Now, did the original language say that it would have, you had until February of 2026?
Yes, Commissioner.
From the day we entered into that agreement?
And no, yes.
The other question for you is, you said how many lots is this conversation today that we're responsible for? 383.33 acres?
Acres, 429 lots.
And how are you purchasing, how are we purchasing the lots? Do you have to review the documentation? Is there a deed for every one?
Correct.
And can you?
Well, I'm sorry, it's a deed with an exhibit of every lot number. We have to make sure that Be a Man owns that lot. We have to, the acreage is correct, everything. And we've done a lot of that, but we're still going through it.
Okay, question for you. Do we have to wait until you have them all done? If you've done 50 or 100, can't you move through on 50 or 100, or are we going to wait until they're all done?
It's going to be one deed with all of them, all the descriptions. It's easier to do it as one, in one shot, than piecemealing it.
And what do you figure is a realistic time frame on when you'll have it done?
Well, that also is dependent on the ELOC funding, because now we're using that as the vehicle to pay for this. So as I understand it from my conversations with the Office of Budget, that has to come before the board as an amendment to the, I guess, the additional funds that you have to approve the additional funds that have come through on the half-cent sales tax.
Are we going to have enough money, not enough money, or extra money?
we'll have sufficient funds to buy the property. We are receiving funds now. It does require you to amend your budget just because the clerk has received them or into our accounts. You still have to budget those funds. So this will allow us to go to closing and, with staff, won't have to come back here. But there will be a budget resolution on one of your agenda items for moving those funds out of a reserve account into an expenditure for the land acquisition.
My final point, I can sense it's obvious to sense Mr. Gaza's frustration with the process, but to reiterate, we've created this as our mechanism for funding. Mr. Gaza could care less where we fund it from. He just wants whatever is the agreed upon dollars coming his way. But we're not using this as a switching over to this environmental referendum dollars doesn't slow the process down past, it might slow it down, but not past what was an agree upon final date. We're still within that window, correct?
Yes, Commissioner. Absolutely.
In fact, this agenda item today allows us to move quicker because we will not have to assemble all of that information, all those budget transfers, and then come back to another agenda item. We can move forward with closings as soon as the funds and the analysis are complete. The funding is coming in. We have the funding that they could meet the obligations under this. And since this is the first one that's been approved by the board, it'll be the first one available to be purchased with those funds. Had we not done this, we would still be relying upon, if in your example, Commissioner, if it wasn't using the sales tax funds, we would be working with bond counsel or banks and all the other things to line up the funds in order to make the purchase, which
Take
would
about this amount of time?
would take more time.
You don't feel we're going to miss that deadline?
Absolutely not.
Okay, what I would recommend in an effort to move this thing to completion as quickly as we can, get the gentleman his settlement. Thank you.
Commissioner Heatherington.
I guess the conversation just answered some of my questions, but we're obligated, regardless of the ELOC and the sales tax, we are obligated to transact this. So we don't have to wait for the ELOC funds, is what you're saying, right?
The board through this allows us to go, one, we need the board's approval to acquire land. And so the most important thing is to have we have the settlement agreement, which approved to go to purchase the properties. And then you still need the board to approve the deeds, to accept the deeds. The approval of this agenda item allows us to do that without, you're doing that today. You're simply saying, we're approving the acquisition of these deeds, and we're going to trust the county attorney and staff to ensure that that we're actually buying the properties that were promised under the settlement agreement. This item also allows us to use the funds. We went through the LASC so that we're using those funds to actually accomplish it. So that's obviously a great relief to the other funding sources, that we're not having to borrow funds or pledge funds or reduce services in order to accomplish this project.
And we're meeting the settlement agreement.
And we're meeting the settlement agreement.
Commissioner Vargas?
Yes, okay. It's imperative to review very carefully. I don't move in haste. This is a big number. Again, this is taxpayer funds, so even more so. So I trust that Ms. Elder's staff will follow what you've said, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. We have to be sure on our end. I'm certain you understand. So I think good job. Keep going. As it takes the time, you have until February of next year. So.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Capps, any further discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And that isn't the last item. The last item is Public Works, Department 6, a brief overview of real property administrative policies and procedures. Ms. Segura.
Good afternoon. Carla Segura, Real Property Manager. I'm privileged to be the last of the day. This item is to provide a brief update on the Real Property and Procedures Manual that the board directed as part of the Martin County Strategic Plan process. And at that time, they also directed that the staff create a platform to improve the management of the county leases for both internal and external access. The resulting lease system has significantly improved our efficiency, saving time for both staff and the public. It also enhances the transparency by making information easy for the public to access if they need to, and for us to keep up with reporting. It sends out emails to the lessees to let them know that it's coming up for renewal, or that the insurance needs to be updated, or any reporting that is required by the lease is requested. And then we always follow up with all of that. In collaboration with the legal department, the board's objectives have been met, resulting in the administrative policy being approved as number 252. It ensures consistency and accountability. It's a centralized storage area for the county leases, and it maintains compliance with the Florida law and Martin County Code. The process manual pretty much gives us it outlines all the responsibilities that we have in real property, which includes like acquisition, disposition, via the surplus process, lease management, contract oversight if we ever have any to do for that, like RFPs or auctioneer agreements, and the funding process. The lease system in the internal side, like I said, allows staff to enter lease information, and it's so much helped the management of the leases, because otherwise we'd have to have somebody full-time doing all of that. So it's doing it electronically for us. And we just actually entered a new portion of it that IT helped us with that does store just the reports themselves so that we can keep up with them. And so if somebody requests something, and it's required by the lease, then we can get it right away, or we can send letters out notifying them they have to supply it if it's just something required if requested. When departments require assistance with projects and property needs, they make complete project request forms, which helps us to keep track of all of the communication and ensures prompt and efficient project turnaround. Copies of both the policies and procedures manuals and the administrative memo are attached to this agenda. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
For Ms. Segura. Commissioner Capps.
Great work.
Thanks.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Campy.
While we have you,
Oh.
can you give me an update on the old fire station, then the Boys and Girls Club on Martin Downs Boulevard in Palm City?
Yes, so we were waiting on the legal descriptions. We got that, and then there's a little pond, I think it's called Lake, it starts with a W, and I'm terrible with names, but whatever it is.
I hope it's not called a lake.
It has a little name on it that's
It's a little grandiose.
Yeah, right? But anyway, we have a stormwater drainage facility in that, so we needed to do another legal description for that. But the auctioneer company is ready, waiting to get all the final stuff, and he's going to start advertising soon for that.
Is it like where he's advertising to the date, time specific of an auction, or is it like a running auction?
No, he has a specific time that
Like, can they do it on the courthouse steps kind of a thing, or where do they do
Probably
it?
electronic, right?
That's right.
wherever he decides to do the platform. Sometimes, like the last when we did the fire station on US 1, he did it at the fire station, so.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And how about Martin Highway at Palm City School Avenue? The big piece.
Oh, you're a big one. That one, we've got the contract signed, so we're in the due diligence period for them, so we're just waiting on that, and then we'll do the closing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Ms. Segura and Ms. Johns do a wonderful job. Their jobs are extremely complicated. They're very detail-oriented. So is there a motion to approve?
Had it in a second.
Yes.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. And unless someone tells me that there's another agenda item, I think we've reached the end of our tether here. Commissioner Heatherington, any comments?
No, I'm all set.
How about you, Commissioner Campy?
few-
Oh, you've said enough today.
Well, mine is more somber. This morning, I appreciate that you recognized the moment of silence for Sheriff's Deputy Sean Green. I just wanted to spend another moment to recognize him and his service to our community. A young man who tragically a couple of years ago was in a really horrific accident where he had pulled over to assist a rollover on 714 at the Martin grade and was struck while he was rendering aid by a vehicle and nearly died that day. Really, it was remarkable that he was able to recover to the level that he did and went back to work. He had 25 years with the Martin County Sheriff's Office, working in the jail, working road patrol, and most recently working at the courthouse. His sister works in the sheriff's office. His father put in 29 years in the sheriff's office. So if you think about it, between his father and he, they worked in protecting Martin County residents for half of Martin County's existence, 50 years. His brother is a police officer in Vero, and he has two sisters, but most sadly is he left behind, I would guess, about a 10-year-old daughter named Paisley. They were very, very close. And his parents, of course, his parents, and his friends and his colleagues. And they had a beautiful service for him at Christ Fellowship. And it's just a sad, I should say that after that tragic accident just recently, he was killed in a car accident out in Okeechobee County. Sudden. I was friends with him on Facebook and friends with him in real life, and he was posting the night before just shows you, like hours earlier, how fragile life is and what a blessing it is to have, and a single phone call can change everything. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank him for his, lifelong service to our community, and wish his family blessings during a horrible time, and that we all stand with him and his family and his sister as they try to make some kind of sense of this. So just, hug and kiss your loved ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Capps?
Yes, many folks know that the residents of the Petway/Gomez neighborhood in Hobe Sound have had a number of problems with their potable water in recent years. And on July 28th, about 2 weeks ago, a number of us met with residents of that neighborhood at the new Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church on Petway Street to talk about a project that's getting ready to start by our Public Works folks. Mr. Gorton's standing right over there. And it's been a long time in the making, but it's about to happen. The funding for the project was secured by a state appropriation. And we want to thank State Representative John Snyder for his hard work in securing the funds from the legislature. At the meeting, it was good to have former Commissioner Harold Jenkins there, who spearheaded the project, to speak to the group a little bit, as well as the Town of Jupiter Island Commissioner Marshall Field, who's been intricately involved with the project from the beginning as well. I want to thank the staff for doing such a great job at fielding the questions. They did just great. And then I want to thank my aide, Colleen Packowitz, for doing such a great job putting the meeting together. I'll end my comments with a little picture that I took yesterday on Petway Street. And is Ms. Gordon here so she can turn that on?
I think
It's right there.
technology was failing her as you were speaking.
Was it? Okay.
She's trying.
Okay. This is a point of clarification about local geography to educate us all about something very interesting.
They'd have to climb underneath the, turn on the camera.
Oh, was that right? Okay. Well, anyway, on Petway Street, there's a little sign on the side of the road. It says Gomez, a friendly family community established in 1815. And there's another one on Dixie Highway as well. So the residents of the Petway community prefer their community to be called Gomez because they're the original deal. There's another Gomez Avenue to the east, but they're the most rightfully designated Gomez community in Martin County. Another thing I think is really amazing about this sign is the date, 1815. And I got to thinking there's probably a piece of paper somewhere that has that date on it, or they wouldn't have put that on the sign. And I look forward to seeing any documents like that would show how old that community is. The Hobe Sound Historical Society is going to be in residence in the new train station building. And maybe that'll be a nice research project for them. So that they can let us Hobe Sounders know how and why people think the Gomez community dates all the way back to 1815.
I'd put Lloyd Jones on it. He's the most tenacious guy.
Oh, there you go.
And Julie Priest.
That's right.
You need to know something. You just call Lloyd Jones and Julie Priest, and a week from now, you'll have the whole story.
Commissioner Vargas.
Okay, I've had quite a few emails, people that are asking at least once a month to have an evening meeting. We have folks in the community that are working. They just cannot be here. I don't think it's unreasonable. We would just have to accommodate them. That's what we're here, public servants. So I would like to have this come up more formally so that we can, put this put this in motion for our constituents. It's about accommodating them, not us. Is there a certain way to do that, Mr. Donaldson?
It just, if that's the will of the board to have a night meeting, we would schedule a night meeting. We discussed this before, and at this point in time, there was not a desire to have night meetings, so, but we're,
Was there any further discussion with this board on this, or we're just going to come during the day? Or I'm willing to come in the evening. I'm willing to shift my schedule.
Mr. Campy?
Thank you. I personally have no issue with an evening meeting. It has come up every several years until the sort of the rationale on why we hadn't done it sort of fades away and new people ask. I have also received emails. I think it's more to it than that. I'm not opposed. In the old days, Commissioner Hurd will tell you, we met quite a bit, and we were here almost every meeting, at least till 10 o'clock at night. There are pros and cons. I had a conversation with a couple of people that were interested. It's not an impossibility. Other municipalities do it. So if you I think Commissioner Vargas has asked enough, and we've probably all received those emails, so I think it at the very least, would require our staff to present the pros and cons on why that is versus just not responding. And there are some downsides to having an evening meeting instead of a daytime meeting, where some people that are not able to come to those meetings would say the same thing. Now, or if you have an evening meeting that has a larger crowd, does the applicant have the ability to decide that they want to come for a daytime meeting? Do they want to come for an evening meeting? Do we pick the agendas out of a hat so that, what is there, can someone, and that's what I would need the staff to explain, all of the pros and cons. But to my colleague, I'm not opposed to an evening meeting. I think all of us dedicate enough hours to the day that wouldn't be like, oh, I can't do it. I'm busy doing something else. I get it. But it's more than just switching the meetings to the evening.
No, it'd be just one a month.
Well, we only do two, so it'd be half.
Okay, so it'd be one of them.
Right.
It's not both meetings, so they have the option, if an applicant wants to come during the day, we could accommodate them for a day meeting.
Correct.
Shift it over. We're trying to move people through the agenda as quickly as possible, that's it. So,
To accommodate what you're requesting, I would agree and ask, you need a majority of us to say,
Didn't we already have this agenda item? I thought we did.
well, we obviously need to have it again.
Well, we just had it less than 6 months ago.
They're new commissioners now.
No, we had it with the new commissioner.
Did we have a whole conversation on the advantages and disadvantages?
We had
Well,
an agenda item.
well, it didn't resonate, so I think it needs to come back, because I want to agree with my colleague. Because I do hear it. I hear it from people that say, why aren't you having nighttime meetings? Other people have nighttime meetings. You need to reiterate it.
I would suggest that if we do go to a nighttime meeting, that you just schedule agendas as you normally do, and certainly trying to rearrange things for night versus day, I think you would just simply have it scheduled. But keep in mind that, we started the meeting at 9 and it's 5 o'clock. So I think the other thing for you to consider, and we can bring an item back, is that you'd probably still want to end it at some time and reserve the next day to continue your meeting, unless you want to go till 2 or 3 in the morning.
If you follow what other municipalities do for nighttime meetings, they go until they're done, versus coming back the next day, because that defeats the whole concept of being available to your constituencies.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes. I remember having the dialogue or the data that staff put together on the nighttime. I personally would meet night or day, but I think they should be all night or all day. I don't like picking, who's going on the day agenda, who's going on the night agenda, and I believe that gets to be tricky, and I don't know if it gets tricky legally or on what kind of agenda items go to the day. So I remember having the discussion. I'm not opposed to nighttime meetings. My feeling is it's got to be all nights or all days.
that becomes more challenging. The other point to make is that we'd have to, even if we did it on a prototype testing, is you're requiring staff to be here. Do they work during the day, or do they take the morning and come at night? I don't know. Or do they collect a lot of PTO time to make up for those hours? But if the room has no one in it, because I get that there'll be some people that will come, but if we're going to disrupt a long-term policy of having daytime meetings to have no one be here, because there's as many people that can't come at night that can't come during the day. It's both. But I'm not opposed to something, but not 2 night meetings.
I didn't say that. I
No,
said
I'm
one night.
speaking to my other colleague.
One night, one day.
Commissioner Capps?
I think in Martin County, we have exceptionally engaged residents, probably more so than in a lot of other counties. The level of interest from the public and what we do is very high. We have a lot of public speakers. I think if meetings run way late into the evenings and then late into the night, you're defeating the whole purpose of trying to bring people in, because they all fall off the bus and head on home to get into bed, and, after about 9 or 10 o'clock. I mean, it's exhausting.
Can't even listen to music after 9 o'clock.
Right. So I think if it gets too late, people just leave, and there is no public participation. The very thing you were trying to achieve falls apart on you. And then today's a great example. It's 10 to 5. This has been a 9-hour meeting. You can't crunch that down into 2 or 3. So I just don't think it's practical at all here. I think it's also, there would be a lot of expense associated with it, with overtime, or I don't know if it's overtime that kicks in, or just having all that staff here late into the evenings. And then another thing I would mention, in our history, we haven't had a lot of extremely long meetings. I mean, they're pretty long. Today's a 9-hour meeting, but Martin County has had some history in the past of meetings that went 12 and 14 and 15 and 16 hours, even the ones that started at 9 in the morning. They were still going to 11 at night. So you never know what types of issues are going to erupt and how much public interest you're going to have and how long a meeting would need to be. So I think getting started early in the day is the way to go, because we don't know what's coming at us and down the road.
I agree.
The city
Commissioner
of
Vargas.
Stewart conducts their evening meetings. They have a full house. Full house. So as I said initially, we're here for our taxpayers, our residents. It's not for us. And they certainly have to pay staff to be there or accommodate. You certainly could model however they have been successful in doing it. So.
I hear you. The city of Stewart does have evening meetings. It's not necessarily an equal example. They're much smaller government, much fewer employees. I do remember that we had like a little breakdown, Mr. Stokes or Mr. Graham presented. It would be more aligned with what are other counties doing. I do believe St. Lucie or Port St. Lucie, they meet in the evenings.
They have evening meetings.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that would be comparable next to us. I can find others if you want.
Well, Mr. Stokes did a review, an evaluation, and found out that overwhelmingly counties have day meetings.
Most people conduct their business during the day.
Well,
But I'm.
people work.
Yeah.
They want to see what's going on.
I hear
You want participation, I mean, you're going to have to.
We can have the agenda item again.
Okay, am I still on?
Yeah.
Following my comments this morning, if the county is giving monies to nonprofits or other organizations, I would request that we review their books, records, income, expenses. Why would we not do this? I can't quite square this in my mind.
So the county, our general, unlike the leases or leasing our property with Ms. Segura going through detailed, annual reports, the nonprofits that the board gives monies to is based upon, the service that they're delivering. It is a contributing, and so we rely principally on, if there's any accusations from the public about they're not performing their service, or staff does not find that they're not performing the service, we would investigate it. Otherwise, we rely upon our elected officials, who you all have picked, the members that received it, to inform us if we need to do a further investigation on these nonprofits that we work with. So it's really, we don't have a lot of them on there, but so in that terms, it has been the tradition that the county has not involved a lot of resources in terms of, some of the nonprofits you're giving $5,000 to or something, and it's really the goodwill of the county providing that for these charitable services, and we rely upon citizens and staff and you all to advise us if they are suspect of those services not being rendered, in which case we will investigate.
Okay, well, I have no idea. I don't see $5,000. I see thousands of dollars going out. We should request a review of every nonprofit, every organization taxpayers are giving their money to, not our money. And I'll put it out there for public statement, and if they don't agree, I would suggest that you do, because it is not our money, and we have to be accountable. And so do those organizations that we bestow the hard-earned dollars from taxpayers, not our money. So I don't see why we're reticent about doing it.
I didn't say we're reticent about doing it. We just have not. We rely upon, it's sort of like our code enforcement actions. So we do, if we see it, we react to it, but it's, we don't annually inspect every nonprofit.
Okay, I'm requesting that we do that. So how do we get this going? Something we should be doing.
Well, in places where we have leases, like the fairgrounds, or like we used to have with the golf course, we wholly owned those assets and had contracts with the lessees and took complete responsibility for the repair and maintenance of the buildings, and they didn't, and let them be run into the ground, and then had to take over an asset that was extremely diminished. It's our fault for not enforcing compliance with our own contracts.
I hear exactly what you're saying. I'm very familiar with that, and that's a shame. That's shameful, okay, to allow that to go on. But you don't have to have tradition go on and be blind. You're handing out other people's money. This is our responsibility, each of us up here. That's what we're put in this seat for. So I'm requesting that we have reviews of every organization we use taxpayer funds for. And there are several. There are several that come to mind right now.
Commissioner Campy.
This morning, when this conversation originally began, I had made a recommendation or suggestion that we put a little group together, someone from legal, someone from finance, and someone from Carolyn Timmons' office to, I don't think there's that many grants and aids and other people. I think it's less than 20. Either we do a selection, a random selection each year, so that it's always sort of, people, random audit kind of a situation. Or if there's enough, but I don't want to dedicate not new personnel to make this a new job description. But if we were to select, I hear what Commissioner Vargas is saying. I think that those of us that have been up here for a much longer period of time, start to develop a understanding and appreciation of some of these organizations. But if you're new to the game, which some of our commissioners are, not necessarily familiar with each of the folks that, or the organizations that are on the list, and how they got there and their years of service to the community. I was thinking through the list in my head, I don't believe any one of them would not want to gladly show their numbers. I think, if anything, their numbers would show how they're able to do quite a bit for taxpayers with a very small amount of money that comes from us, and a tremendous amount of money that comes through all of their other sources, whether it's volunteer hours, somehow selling things like the museum did, or creating grants. There's a lot of private grant writers that are writing for the not-for-profits. If anything, I think it would shine a bright light on what a remarkable job our not-for-profits are doing. We have had conversations in the past with other commissioners that are no longer sitting up here that wanted to eliminate the entire program, didn't think that the county should be involved in any part of this. And then I think they came to an understanding and appreciation of the value of the not-for-profit world in a benefit to the government, because there's many things that they're doing on our community's behalf that we should not be doing and could not be doing. So to make a grant opportunity of 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever the number might be, each has a different number. I think the return on investment, although maybe not noticeably apparent, is there. So to Commissioner Vargas's point, if you want to create a little thing, we can start at the beginning of the fiscal year in October 1st. And pick, a third, so that we have a number, do a third of them the first year, as to not make it this new bureaucracy of going around checking.
Commissioner Campy, I don't think that because we give grants and aids to not-for-profits that we have the ability to go snooping around in their finances. And I don't want to do it. But where we have contracts, those should be enforced. I'm not interested in going and putting a spotlight on those places that we're giving $5,000 and $10,000 and whatever. I'm just interested in the areas where we have really high value assets that we're not protecting.
I hear you. I do. So maybe instead of asking a not-for-profit to open up their books, I sat for a long time on the United Way board when they hand out their money, and then they break the board down and send us off into different categories. I remember doing children, so I went to Banner Lake, I went to a couple others, and they presented at the very least what they did with the money that they got from the United Way. So instead of asking them to open up their entire books, which some of them for $10,000 would say, keep your 10,000. But that being said, if we're doing 10, and some of them are much larger numbers, then let's at least have someone go, whether it's commissioners or staff, and go and see exactly what they're doing with the money that they're getting from us. I think after you have the opportunity to do that a handful of times, you will realize and have that level of comfort that those of us that have been doing this a while have. Because you hear Commissioner Hurd, she's a fiscal watchdog, and if she feels comfortable with how the process is working, I like that. I just don't want the message to come from the board that we somehow are sending money out with no regard to how it's spent. I don't want my new colleague to think that that's how we operate, and I don't want the public to hear that and think that's how we operate.
Mr. Capps.
I think these are very well-known and extremely reputable organizations, and I don't think that's a good use of staff time. Making a donation to an organization doesn't mean you need to know everything about all of their bookwork, and to produce an audit or something. That's all we're doing, is making a donation. And these are such well-known organizations in our community that have long histories. I just don't think any of this is needed.
Commissioner Hetherington.
I agree with protecting our larger county-run contract assets, and I feel like years ago, we had this conversation, it went on for years, back and forth, grants and aids, and we collect information from those that we, staff gets reports and tax returns and from the grants and aids recipients. And if I remember correctly, the board said, okay, as long as you're submitting those reports and staff would indicate if there is an issue.
Commissioner Vargas?
Hey, well, this morning, nobody had requested in 7 years that Rob had been there to have an accounting. We have to have transparency. This is not a climate of, well, we trust what you're doing. No, 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 no. We have to be able to look our constituents in the eye and say, I have seen what their books are. If you don't want to do it, then this is not the job. But the job is to safeguard the monies of everybody who puts in 1 cent into the coffers. So we can go back and forth, and people are hearing this. I would suggest you don't continue that tradition. I suggest that when you are giving a dollar to an organization, you have every right to request. And if they want it, they don't want the 10,000, that's fine also. There'll be another organization that is willing to open up their books. This is very serious. This is not something, well, we just don't want to do it because we've always done this like this. That doesn't make sense, I don't think.
Mr. Donaldson, any final thoughts for today? Not on this topic.
I do have one other item. There was a request from Commissioner Vargas on the October 7th meeting to move that to the 14th. I don't know if any of you all have any,
I won't be here on the 14th.
so,
Arrange my schedule according to the Board of County Commissioners calendar.
Will you be here the following week?
We're on top of the next meeting.
we have a meeting scheduled for the 21st.
So if we have a meeting scheduled, I'll be here.
Okay, and what about the week after?
Then you're into the next month.
She won't be here on the 14th, so.
There's occasions where commissioners miss meetings. It's easier than disrupting. I think we need to keep them where they are.
Okay, we'll leave the meeting as it is unless you all get back to me.
Ms. Eldridge?
I have nothing.
Baptism by fire. We're adjourned.
Bad luck.